Native Instruments sells a variety of sound packs that can be used with the full version of Core or the free version, the Core Player. The one that comes with Native Instruments Komplete 7 is called Acoustic Refractions, and it's pretty cool. It contains 100 different instruments that have been recorded from diverse sources like melting ice and spinning washing machines and weird stuff like that. And combined with the Absynth and Kontakt engines, you get some really great sounds that you can morph in Core, or if you have the full version of Komplete, you can edit even further. Now we're going to look a little bit at acoustic refractions and show how we can use this, but the stuff I'm doing here will work with any of the Core sound packs. The first question is, how do I find the sounds in this sound pack? Of course, we can search for them in a variety of ways. We can also type into the browser acoustic refractions, and that will give us just the sounds that have acoustic refractions in there somewhere. Now don't forget, we can view or hide the browser by pressing F4 or the little magnifying glass up top. Now there's a quicker way to find sounds in a particular sound pack, and that is in the new version of Core 2.1.2. And that is to control-click on your browser columns and add in Sound Pack. And now we can choose just the sounds from that sound pack. Now let me show you some of these. The first one is Aeolian Ropes, and this is made up of sounds from a rope. And of course, all of these sounds, like all the sounds in Core, can be morphed, and each one of the sounds in the sound pack comes with 8 variations that you can modify. And I'm moving around the morphing grid here. And I have these knobs here which say things like wind and atonal, and they map to different controls in the instrument. Let's find a different one. How about this one based on an antique saw? Really neat sounds in this sound pack. Definitely can see cinematic uses for these sounds, but way beyond that. Here's a sound based on windshield wiper blades. And finally, one based on a typewriter. Now, like any sounds we create in Core, we can put these together in all kinds of crazy combinations with effects and morphing and so forth. Let me show you a quick example just using sounds from acoustic refractions. We'll start with the malignant cello. Now I'll add in a second sound in a new channel, plucked oscillators. So I'm playing both these sounds simultaneously. And finally, let's bring in one more. This time we'll bring in a steely pinball sound, and I'll turn off these two so we can hear just the pinball. Very nice. So much fun playing with these sounds. So that's the pinball. Here's the plucked oscillator. And here's the malignant cello. Okay, so let's start with the steely pinball. We're going to control-click to choose an arpeggiator. And of course, we need to move that before the pinball. And now we have an arpeggiator arpeggiating our steely pinball. I'm just going to use the default settings for the arpeggiator, and we'll add an effect afterwards. Again, control-clicking, choose chorus, and there are lots of things we can change with chorus. The mode, we can sync it to tempo, we can change the rate and depth, and we can even make it stereo. Very nice. If you're using headphones, you get a real nice picture here. Now let's add back in the plucked oscillator and the malignant cello, and I'm going to set up a keyboard split by going to the channel mapping page. And we'll start by making the malignant cello the lower part of the keyboard. How about up to B2? There we go. And then the plucked oscillators will be everything above that. And the arpeggiated pinball sound will be the whole keyboard. And now when we play, if I play the lower end, I get the cello, the upper end, the plucked oscillator. Okay, our sound is coming together nicely. Let's add some morphing variations. We'll go to a new user page here, and we'll go to our mixer display, and I will go into learn mode and assign some knobs. We'll assign that knob to the first fader, this knob to the second, this knob to the third. If I were doing this correctly, I would rename each of these. I assign the button to my arpeggiator. And then let's create a couple different variations. The first one, we will just use our pinball. We'll turn everything else down. So I'm control clicking store. That's one way to save that variation. Now we'll move up the cello and save a second variation. And you know what? I think I'm going to change this grid to a 2x2. So control clicking on the morphing grid and choosing 2x2. Let's go to C. I should really be doing a better job of figuring out how the volume controls will change as I morph from one letter to the next, but you get the idea of what I'm doing here. One last variation here. I'm only doing output control variations. I'm not changing chorus, I'm not changing the arpeggiator. There's so much more that we could be doing here. And as I morph around, I'll change the various outputs. So that's a quick overview of Acoustic Refractions, the sound pack that comes with Komplete 7. There are many other sound packs, of course, you can get from Native Instruments. All of them have some really cool sounds in them. So I definitely suggest that you check some of these out.